Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite leftist gaming podcast. We are here at the end of the month bringing you a news roundup for the month of March 2026. Boys, how are we doing? How's the start of spring treating you?
Feels like the start of something more significant than spring.
I mean, it's never spring here until May, and then you get 2 weeks of spring followed by immediate summer.
You're in mud season now, right?
Not necessarily.
Not technically, but I know my backyard is all mud right now.
See, it's a nice 15 degrees out right now, but then it'll be back up to the fees by Monday and then raining. So that'll be the real kickoff.
Yeah, the field behind my house is just like all is waterlogged basically because a lot of the ground is still frozen, but then the deep layers are still frozen, but then
we've had period like Thursday it was 60 degrees, and then yesterday it started off at 30 and dropped all the way down to 15.
Stepping on a sponge.
Yeah, so that's been fun. But yeah, mud season is fast approaching. I think they said up here in the Great White North where we are, there's like fake spring.
Yeah, we've already had fake spring. That was 2 weeks ago when we had that 1 week stretch of like 60s and sunny, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, spring is here!" And then we had our normal like 3 freak snowstorms. Now we're in freezing rain season, where it'll rain and then cool off overnight and glaze the highways.
Have you heard you all might have a middle school governor?
Yes, there's a 14-year-old on the governor. I think technically 14 is high school, isn't it?
Yeah, he might be a freshman.
I'm not tuned in so much to local politics because local Vermont politics is absolutely bananas, but not in the fun way. But
no rule saying a dog can't be governor.
Did Did Phil Scott die?
No. It's just election season, and he won't lose.
He formed his own party to get himself on the ballot directly. It's hilarious.
Saw it on the Vermont subreddit.
Yeah, I forget what the name of the party was. He's a centrist freethinker.
What kids will do these days to fill out a college application.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, he'll be like Barron Trump's campaign manager.
He'll be his Stilgar to Barron's Moadib. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, how's everybody's gaming been going? I know this isn't a check-in episode, but how's it? What's everybody been playing? I know we ended our actual check-in episode talking about how we were eagerly anticipating the Crimson Desert reviews, and those dropped and has created a whole slew of back and forth internet controversy, which was the inspiration for a video that I did for the channel last week that tried to engage with the narrative that arose of the internet content creators versus journalists, and that kind of false dichotomy that one is less beholden to the certain kind of material conditions that have plagued the credibility of journalism as a whole, but in particular video game media journalism. And I thought I had some interesting points and has engaged both positive and negatively within the community. So that's been interesting. But yeah, I guess that's a good kickoff for news. I know, Matt, you had pre-ordered your copy before you even asked.
Yep.
Didn't you?
Yep.
You fucking coward.
No, why not?
No, then I call you a coward because you should have just planted your flag there and be like, yeah, I already pre-ordered. I'm not pretending to consider it. You've already done it.
Yeah,
so
I pre-order pretty much every game and then don't play it for 3 years.
When are you going to play it?
Aw.
You have no immediate plans? That feels like a dangerous game for you.
I'm just setting up for the inevitable gaming crash so that I just have an enormous backlog of games.
I wonder when you say it's dangerous for him, I don't yeah, it's an enormous game that will take forever to 100%, but do you is that a type of game that you would try to platinum or
it just
truly
depends on
try
how it feels when I'm playing
it? Try to 100% it. Your version of 100% and platinuming are often different.
I mean, yeah, because 100%ing doesn't always mean platinuming. The platinum can leave things out that would be involved in 100%ing. having all items, picking up all armors, finishing all quests, new game plussing, all those things don't always get included in.
Yeah, it's completing that kind of game, I don't know, if doesn't feel doing that full 100% completion. I don't know how rewarding that would ultimately be. So I feel like that's just you explore as much as you get, particularly replaying. I don't know what the plus would be, because the whole point is to explore explore everything in that first go, and that's as people have the game's defenders who are like, oh, it's not about the story. The story is an abject failure, but that's not why we play the game. Well, then why did they try to make story a significant part of it? As Gene Park put it, like, the story insists upon itself, constantly is interrupting you. It's a game that wants to have a story focus but can't pull it off. But the drive is just the exploration. So once you've seen it all, if you manage to see it all in a single playthrough, however long that may take, what else is left to engage with again? And that's not a slight against it, right? I'm sure that's probably a shitload of content and a lot of hours to put through to try to see it all. People, lots of comments that like, oh, they're 40 hours in and haven't left the first region. So for someone who wants that, it still seems like there's quite a lot.
I mean, I very much get like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom type of experience, at least. Like I think Zelda does some of those things better than it seems Crimson Desert does. But as I just read about the gaming experience and what drives people to continue to dive into the world, it does feel somewhat similar.
Yeah, I've definitely landed on once I hear more confirmation on its console update progress, like how they've implemented control updates for PC, and they've
that was only PC
so far, and just the controls of mouse and keyboard.
Okay.
But they have there are updates for controls planned for console. I don't think those have been rolled out yet, but what I think has been universally rolled out is like input lag and control responsiveness. That was another major complaint, is that it's like very sluggish and fighting inertia in a way that does not feel good and lacks a precision that's only apparently necessary for the tougher boss encounters, because the majority of the combat still seems like it's very hack and slash, engage as deeply as you want type of thing, where there seems to, that was one complaint from some, is that there's a huge disconnect between the combat requirements for regular mobs and bosses, where you can make the mob fights as difficult as you want through setting your own skill challenge of integrating different abilities, but that the bosses are a completely different level, which in theory is good, but just how that's balanced out. But they seem to be making all those updates. What do you make of the speed of the updates? I know personally, to me, I'm like impressed by the fact that they are responsive and are not just like letting it lie. But there's also the part that's like, these were complaints that were obvious to many. These were many things that were spoken about in plenty of previews. It's not like we didn't know that the controls were an issue, so why did it ship that way? And I also feel a little concerned for the devs who've had to crunch. Like it's so weird to see, a game that becomes the center of some whatever culture war bullshit point of view of, this is, people have staked their claim to this game to fight to the death for, but that they'll praise crunch now. They'll be like, oh, it's so great that they're working so hard to do this.
Hey, man, there's two sides to it. Crunch at least means you have a job.
I mean, I think that's like also somewhat unironically the answer, where like the grind set culture has kind of been a thing again for the last couple of years, in a way that COVID really kind of backed that off a little. And that's when we started to see, maybe my timing is off. Crunch Backlash is kind of started right around then, realistically, like when it became a broader conversation. And I think this kind of larger cultural AI grinding, vibe coding, 999 hours at tech companies, which I don't know if you know what that means, but it means from 9 to 9, or sorry, 996, which is 9 to 9 Monday through Saturday. So I think it's like kind of partially driven by this broader cultural sickness where we decide being wage slave is a good thing. And like,
well, you see, the problem is you either keep the job and do the crunch, or you leave and then don't get hired because the industry is absolutely in shambles.
It's also South Korean work culture is itself a different bag. It's hardly strong labor protection and hyper capitalist Asian countries. That's worker rights don't exist, aren't a thing there. So yeah, there's a whole lot to unpack in what's been going on with Crimson Desert and the way that people are engaging with it. I think it's a game that should be criticized for a lot of things, but can still be engaged with in positive ways. Like that we forget that to be critical of something doesn't mean that you can't still enjoy other aspects of it. That things aren't so binary. The one bad thing that we can say about it, I think, is just its use of the AI art assets. That Matt had the good joke in the group chat. It's the Pearl Abyss and Crimson Desert versus Expedition 33 and Sandfall with the
flirting versus harassment.
Yeah, flirting versus harassment. The call HR meme. That's how
we used
when it's
AI
something
to start early art assets, and it got left in the game by accident. Ooh, you're so cute. Versus
when you have, it's just so clear that again, when people have tied their identity to a consumer product so tightly, they will completely abandon any set of previously held morals that they may have, that they are willing to excuse something they would have gleefully criticized and other things, and just all of a sudden it doesn't matter to some people because this is the game that they have tied their identity to now, which again, it is still baffling to me why it's this particular game that people are so vehement about, positive and negative. Again, you can see that there's people just have the reactionary hate boner against it too, because at least maybe that's understandable, because the people who are glazing it so uncritically are just some of the most annoying people ever.
I mean,
so I can at least understand, like, yeah, just wanting to react to those people being absolutely insufferable.
It's kind of interesting how, effectively monoculture, as for like when it comes to media and entertainment, has been replaced with like just a monoculture of being a hater and being soft if you're being hated on. Like it's moved from like being about a specific thing, and more so the monoculture is just like we're all bitches who just like can't handle anything, which is unfortunate for having discussions that are of value that really makes it nearly impossible.
I just don't feel like most people who engage with the hobby these days are interested in having conversation, or it shows to me a clear kind of disdain for a lot of
this hobby. Pretty much no one is interested in having discussions in anything anymore. You go into any sports discussion, it's the exact same way. You go into any news discussion, it's the exact same way. You go into any political debate, it's the exact same way. You go into a movie discussion.
To me, movies could, I guess, be similar, but to me, it's because most people, the majority of the normie who consumes gaming media is purely treating it as a product, right? That they have deep down, whether they are articulating it or, it's subconscious, that they have a disdain for the medium as an art form. They don't view it as culture. They view it as product to consume. And again, where we as a degenerated culture can only interact with the world via our power and ability as consumers. Again, consuming is a huge part of your identity. So everything must be product, and you must either love or hate product. And that you are therefore a good and righteous person if you like and consume the right product. There is no deeper nuance or interrogation to be had of any media as art.
Listen, why introspection is a modern creation by poor thinking, bad acting, coked out psychologists. No one prior to the modern age had introspection or thought about anything. It's best to just turn that off and consume, baby. Bye.
Also because
bye.
most of them would be dead by 40.
Yeah, so speaking of the AI slop in Crimson Desert, I think that's our transition to our first real story of the day. And oh boy, did that also create a whole other interesting backlash and rise in the creator space as well, something I want to talk to. Matt, I'm just noticing now that your name in the chat is Herbert Hoover.
Yes.
Will that be explained eventually?
It's just a Great Depression joke, because that's where we're going.
Okay, got it.
No, it's just because we're literally living through the Roaring 20s again, and it's all coming down.
All right, Andrew, take us away.
Yes. Jensen Huang is out fucking shit up for the rest of us in this fucking industry once again with NVIDIA announcing DLSS 5 earlier this month. I will say, in my mind, a response that I was pleased with, which was largely one of hate, disgust, and revulsion at this fucking slop yassifying filter that they are presenting as some sort of next generation advancement in gaming technology. And, there were lots of questions initially around, how does it work? Is it actually changing what the designers and developers are doing? And turns out it absolutely is. It's taking, your frames and directly applying effectively a filter over it to make it, and I put this in quotes, look better. It looks like shit. It looks like shit. It is so uncanny valley and like gross. And I think I saw this, so I'm not going to take credit for it, but it's like they turned video games into the AI porn commercials we now all see everywhere. Is so
I don't think
bad.
we all see those everywhere. I think
We see them everywhere.
I think that's more of an indictment on your own algorithm.
But it looks like shit. And NVIDIA and Jensen Huang are pushing these.
They're crying about the reaction into their 95% market share and piles of money.
Right, but that's part of the problem is they have captured this corner of not only the gaming industry, but the broader tech.
The 95% market share is just 95% of computers with graphics cards have a NVIDIA card in them.
Right. So they've captured so much, and this is a continuation of their just absolute excess and driving these industries to a point where they are no longer sustainable because everything is so fucking expensive. Also that we can have yassified, characters. Part of me also hates that this like kind of in a way appeases the fucking chuds who can't handle a character not looking like a smooth, I don't even know what fucking kind of hot mixture of an adult woman and child that they all seem to go gaga for.
It's an inflatable fuck doll with ridiculous amounts of makeup, like the Grace comparison that is the poster child for this. People have discussed how it's hallucinating a lot of these things, and your question of you were bringing up make it look better by whom and what standard, right? That's also the interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
But it completely strips the context of what's going on in this scene. For those who have played the game, Grace, she's an FBI agent who has been tasked to go investigate the scene of a new crime at the same place where her mother was killed decades earlier. So she is obviously, very reluctant to go there. But now she's got lipstick and blush and eyeshadow. She's plucked her eyebrows in preparation for this event. And that's like the real rub of how this is going to completely erase any artistic control, despite Jensen Huang's pushback on those claims, is that these AI models are trained on this
all of the same shit.
Yeah, to the point where it just kind of feeds in and on itself, so everything will just be averaged. Right, to this one ridiculous standard, right? So it's going to make everything look the same. That is the biggest concern here.
Do you like how every building and piece of architecture that's been built in the last 25 years looks the same across the entire country? Well, good, because that's how every game is going to be going forward when they use this. They are all going to look the same. This is such an insult to creators and the artists and those who actually take the time, just like all AI is, to do art and actually create through your fucking brain. This is just as insulting to all of it as any other AI application is. And Jensen Huang is quickly rising up my devil list, and him and NVIDIA are truly leeches on society at this point. The decadence that they have been forcing upon all of us through their rising prices, their more extreme hardware needs. Like, this doesn't even DLSS. I think a great point in the article from IGN was DLSS was a way to upscale for lower performing hardware back when it came out. This now doesn't work unless you have 2 RTX fees. Like, this is for a premium product and a premium customer, and it doesn't even create or add value. It just, again, it looks like yassified, uncanny valley.
The purpose now of DLSS is to allow developers to not work as hard. The entire point is that now they don't have to go through and spend time optimizing. They can just turn on DLSS and you'll get a better experience.
And so it has its original purpose is not even fulfilled anymore, where lower end hardware, is making it accessible to lower end hardware, where now it's high end hardware needs it to use it as a crutch to make any game performant at this point. And I don't have the photo offhand because it's not one that had been shared as much, but people will make comments, oh yes, it's making faces look uncanny, it's all the AI porn filter, blah blah blah, but you can't deny that it's still making environments look better and environmental lighting look better. And I'm like, someone who is technologically ignorant can still see that the environmental stuff is also still bullshit. That it is, again, it is, to use the word, it is hallucinating light sources in different ways. There was one where it was most clear was in a Starfield photo. Yep. There's an NPC who's wearing a baseball cap, and in the original scene, half his face is in shadow because the cap is blocking the light source. And now he's just perfectly cinematically lit. You see every detail on his face, and the actual lighting of the scene is completely eliminated. And it's like, what the fuck are we all talking here? What are we smoking? What the fuck was Digital Foundry smoking when they put out this uncritical praise of it? Like I said in the chat, this is what pixel counting does to a motherfucker's brain. It just absolutely ruins you to any type of critical engagement with this as an art form, right? It was the same thing we were just saying about Crimson Desert, is that they are falling victim to viewing games as tech and as product, not as an artistic expression of humanity that is worth engaging with in some critical fashion, and instead just pretty to my eye.
Smooth.
Yeah.
Two things. One, what you're speaking to with the environments, I think even the Grace comparison you had up is a good example of that, because the DLSS image has taken out what to me appears to be like a purposefully hazy atmosphere behind her. Mm-hmm. It's much clearer behind her in the DLSS version. But then to add to that second part of it is, I am sick and tired of this chase for realism at this point in gaming. We crossed that line. We made those strides far enough on the prior console system, in my opinion. Even like Red Dead Redemption 2 is crazy. That game looks super realistic. It doesn't need to be more realistic. There's no value to that. It's just chasing the pixels. And the reason it's being pushed by these companies, particularly NVIDIA, is because chasing those pixels and that realism means they can charge more for more tech. They can continue to make these fucking things every year for some reason, despite no one installing GPUs at least. I know the graphics cards are getting installed, but it just helps them push their sales more so than they need to be. And it feels so unnecessary. the realism aspect is not what makes a game beautiful or aesthetically pleasing at this point. We are past polygons.
And this will be my last Crimson Desert comment of the day, but just it has been frustrating to see the defenders that they're one of the only things that they can kind of fall back on is game look beautiful, therefore game of the year. You know, that this is the most real looking game, therefore it is automatically good. And it's like that's not it. There are so many other factors that go into play on making this something worth engaging. So yeah, I agree with you that realism is in a lot of ways is a fool's errand that we should stop aiming for, and it's probably a reason why we'll get into our later story of, again, why gaming budgets and the industry at large has blown way out of proportion and beyond sustainability, is this drive for an impossible goal. Hire more artists, give them more control to express themselves and give us style that's going to increase value and longevity of these games. So absolutely. Yeah, this is and just I love how NVIDIA's own marketing people who have been in conversation with various other content creators who were showing the correct amount of skepticism and actually doing good investigation and reporting, unlike the so-called trusted sources. Like in their conversations, they immediately contradict everything that Jensen Huang says. But yeah, this is just this 2D filter. The 2D frame plus motion vectors, that they don't, like Jensen's claim that this is generative AI at the geometry level. It's just this marketing guy's like, nope, we don't have access to the geometry of the scene. This is literally just putting something on top of it, which is why it looks so shitty in motion. Yes, we can still see that the faces are always yassified, but the uncanniness is why it is derived from it viewed in motion, and it is just this post-processing effect that it goes completely against everything Jensen was saying. And again, them pasting the DLSS name on top of it is their way to try to launder this into what was a previously well-received product. It's because NVIDIA is no longer a graphics card company. They are an AI company powered by graphics cards that they, of course, need to force this into their business model. So it was the marketing strategy of DLSS has good brand awareness. Let's slap this onto it and increase our share value.
It's like the AI yassification that like Elon Musk uses to make himself not look like a fucking pear. Like, what MAGA supporters use to make Donald Trump look like a fucking hot granddad. Like it's so bad. It looks like fucking trash. It's so ridiculous. This does not improve the gaming experience. And this just, is NVIDIA fully saying we don't care about artistic intent? Like I don't care what they tell people. Like the reality of it is this is a direct admission that means nothing.
Matt, what's your take on the tech side of it?
I mean, I don't really have much of one, to be completely honest.
Well, then what was your response to people like Digital Foundry just uncritically praising this?
I mean, the reaction to it is mostly just like, it's just going to come down to preference and how you view things. Like that's how they're going to go through and look at it, because they're looking at it purely from the tech perspective. Yes, what it's doing from that side might be more impressive. It is a leap up from DLSS 4 in that regard, but
the point that we and other people have been making is that this is not this. You say it's a leap from 4 to 5. They are different things. They are doing different things. That this is not actually DLSS. This is not, digital learning super sampling or whatever it stands for. That this is, again, just taking this frame and running it through ChatGPT. That this is that calling it DLSS is a misnomer. Again, that it is a marketing tactic, not actually anything to do with the technology of what DLSS has been historically.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's a difference in like making blurry lines fine lines. There's a difference in that and what this shows. It's not just more pixel density.
And then now they've also come out and said, oh, this is just an early look at it. Yet they're still saying it comes out in the fall. And it's like, if this is so early and has all these problems, why are you showing it to us now? Again, this is all about, this was an attempt at trying to boost market price for some internal financial goal.
Yeah. Listen, it's because it's about the AI industry at this point where the fruit has to start showing up, and it's not going to.
They're trying to prove that, like, they're trying to desperately prove, no, this isn't a bubble. There is still innovation to be had. There is still profitability here. See, please trust us. We've got something. You know, gaming is the most profitable media industry on the planet. We can shove this into it now and actually give us something that will make money.
It's all marketing for AI. It is a bubble, and that shit's about to pop. That shit's about to pop.
And here's the reality: is that nobody's gonna have the GPUs to run this shit. That's the other thing, is that it is such an Ouroboros, right? Of they are buying up all the components to make this shit work, to then try to sell it to people who then can't buy it because the shit is now too expensive that you need to use to make it work. So
yeah,
literally shooting themselves in the dick repeatedly.
Yeah, you gotta put a full 2 months of rent down minimum to afford, probably 4 months of rent for a lot of people to buy something to run this. Crazy.
Did you see the I'm sure it was just a bit of a joke, but with a sad bit of truth to it, that GDC was earlier this month, and at like a talk, like Valve engineers were like, if you got a line on some RAM, let us know. We're in the market. I'm like, oh, man, the Steam machine is going to be $1,000. Oh my god.
The longer it takes, the more likely I think that is.
But you know what else is going to be $1,000 solely because of Charlie Kirk memes? The PS6, baby. Everyone's with this news from PlayStation, the PS6's price is going to start with a 1, isn't it?
That's definitely my feelings.
Yeah, so this was like leaked just ahead of Matt, you sent us the news via a your favorite and my least favorite sub.
It was
r/game
direct link to the
rumors.
PlayStation post.
But say it was then confirmed shortly after. I maintain my stance that kill all leakers. I'll run for governor against that kid, and that'll be my sole platform.
Single issue. You unironically would get a lot of MAGA people. They wouldn't know what you're talking to, but leaking, they would hear and be like, that guy.
New price changes for PS5, PS Pro, and PlayStation Portal remote player. Let's just look at the prices here. Although they, of course, don't put these things in the actual numbers. I'd like to see is what are the prices moving from, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to see
a $100 increase.
Except for PS5 Pro is $150.
But that's because they had already bumped up the others 50.
Right. That's what I was going to say. It's because the others had slight price increases beforehand. But yeah, you're looking at $650 for a base PS5 in the big 2.6, people. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Dancing on everyone who thinks stuff gets cheaper now. You got to buy it when it comes out, or else you're going to lose more money. Early adopting is now the best way to do things.
It's now an investment strategy.
Yeah, it sucks. I saw a great tweet, and I wish I saved it. That's like, my PlayStation is the only asset I own that's actually appreciating in value the longer I own it. So Matt and I, as early adopters for the Pro, which is now starting to see its use case borne out with the PSSR 2 update that has also rolled out this past month and a half or so, have now saved a significant chunk of money. Because let's also not forget it with the Pro.
Doesn't go live until Thursday, so
get in now before April. It was April 2nd that they go live.
Yeah,
folks, let's not
forget
forget
April 1st because then people would think it was a joke.
Yeah, you're right.
But let's not forget that the PS5 Pro price here also doesn't include the disk drive. That this is without the disk drive, which I'm assuming will also get a price increase that they just won't put on any blog post here.
Yeah.
So expect like another $100 at minimum for.
I would assume that they aren't because they would have included controllers and stuff like that too, because it would be all accessories. But only exclusively talking about the portal would tell me that they're only targeting these specific.
I just don't think they think it's that big a deal. But yeah, the portal is getting a $50.
That one I was kind of surprised by.
Well, it's because it's done surprisingly well. It's because it has exceeded expectation in terms of sales. So yeah, why not try to milk $50 extra? This is the one product that I don't have, and I gotta admit I was trolling eBay yesterday trying to lowball some bids on like some used and open box ones, see if I can get one close to $100. I think the lowest I saw was like 120, but I didn't jump on that one because I couldn't tell if it was just like dusty or if there was like a scratch on part of the screen. But like, why increase the price of the portal? It's not like it's the one device that doesn't have RAM, doesn't have.
Well, that's why I was surprised. Like,
it's just a screen. It's just a fucking screen. Price of panels haven't gone up that high, have they?
I mean, pretty much all component pricing is going up as a result, and there's more to it than just RAM pricing at this point.
Yeah, I know. I was just making a silly.
Yeah, it's it's the fact that there's a little straight out there that's blocked right now, and that's gonna make everything more expensive.
But yeah, I wanted to like field to you guys. Do you think I should try to get a portal now? Should I try to save? I think I could get a new one at Target
and see whatever the PS6 handheld looks like.
Yeah, but that's also going to be $400.
Yeah, but then it'll actually play the games natively that you want and not require streaming, which has been your crux the entire time.
Well, to be honest, my you're not wrong that whether it's digital or not. I mean, it's obviously only going to be digital. The PS6.
You're not getting a handheld with spinning discs.
They're not going to put UMDs in. They're not going to bring UMDs back, even though I wish
if they brought UMDs back, it still wouldn't allow you to then play the games that you already have.
What did UMD stand for?
Universal Media Disc.
I loved those things. They were fun looking. They felt very future-y.
I love how why call it universal media when it only works in that device, in that single device. Well, not so universal.
You have to remember that Sony is the one who pushes media disc formats in a particular direction. They were the ones who pioneered DVD, Blu-ray, UMD, because they make those discs, so they make money off those discs getting sold. Which is why PS3 being a Blu-ray player was such a big deal for them, because they were pushing, because that was the fight with HD DVD at the time.
But the historical drama Tropic Thunder taught me that it was actually the porn industry that decided the victor between HD DVD and Blu-ray. I always took that as gospel fact. Do you remember that scene?
I do.
Absolutely do. I think because it's probably a little bit of both. There's some significant crossover between the buyers of and buyers of PlayStation.
Can you imagine though who was buying porn on Blu-ray?
Blu-ray.
Yeah, you're supposed to go to the dingy sex shop in town, go into the back corner where they've got the VHS collection.
Hell yeah.
And you're supposed to get, I think, what was the one we got? My college roommate one for his birthday, and then put it in the TV for when he came back from class, and his girlfriend came back and surprised him. And it was called like Smoking Sex or something like that, and it was just girls smoking cigars.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I've always felt, before even the price increase to the portal, I was like, if I could get it on sale for $100, I could justify, even it's a very limited use case to me, like as a novelty kind of thing. I could swallow that, but like $250, I don't think so. But I've had like every now and again I have been like, oh, maybe I could get some use out of the handheld, streaming it from the actual console. Like maybe I could get some use out of this, but those instances have been so few and far between that I've been like, okay, I'll wait a couple of years, hope naively, it seems, expecting all historical trends to remain true, that things will get cheaper the longer we go into a life cycle. But no.
So yeah, I would say you want one, go secondary market. just go. I would say go that route.
If you want one, go buy the 30th anniversary edition off StockX.
I'm wondering what eBay sellers are going to do when
raise their prices.
Yeah, say when this happens. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta. Either way, I feel like I gotta jump in now.
I mean, you'd be an idiot seller if you didn't raise your price. Like, that's just commerce 101.
And there are plenty of them that are still, just bid only. That's just those prices are a little bit more volatile.
Hey, you're not alone in thinking that prices would, follow the historical trend of going down, because there's an over $1 trillion industry now that's betting on that and doesn't seem to be happening.
But the other pricing news we have here is just a little one that my immediate response in the group chat was, I would potentially put me on some watch lists if I were to say it aloud here. But, Nintendo is doing the. Well, actually, here I want to pedal back for a second. Was the Sony variable pricing thing, was that this month too?
Yes.
Or was that last?
Yeah.
Or was that last month? Was that last month? I don't remember how.
Earlier this month.
That was like the end of last month or early this month. I don't recall specifically.
Yeah, what do they call it? Dynamic pricing.
Dynamic, right? Yeah, dynamic pricing.
Because that's what it is. It's not.
That's what they should have named it instead of dynamic pricing. To let people think, oh yeah, they're getting a deal. But yeah, the variable prices seem to be a new thing. However, with Nintendo, it's not just kind of random by your own purchase habits. That seems like it's going to be a set standard that digital games for Switch are going to be $10 cheaper than their physical counterparts. They had to clarify here, that's what this update has, is that they're clarifying that the cost of physical games is not going up, just the price of digital is being reduced. And I know some people, maybe someone on this podcast may be like, oh, that's good. That's a good thing. Prices are going down. And on the surface, a cheaper price is nice. But the fact of the matter is that this push towards digital only is only a bad thing, and will in the long run mean prices will remain stagnant and overall higher, because if they are digital only, then the storefront holders are the only ones dictating price. That this eliminates, that this will eventually lead to elimination of the third party market that can, if you wait long enough, get you games at a significant discount. That Nintendo already doesn't discount their own games, and with control of their own storefront, they have no incentive to offer deals on this site. So yes, if you are set on buying a game day and date it releases, yeah, you'll save yourself $10 in the short term, but in the long run, everybody will end up still paying more for games the further we get into a digital only landscape. This is not something to be celebrated. There's also the thorniness of preservation that comes with digital only storefronts. Nintendo, again, as the company in question, fucking nuked the 3DS eShop. You gotta go buy a 3DS that hopefully still works and jailbreak it to access any of that stuff. So Matt, yeah. I would love to hear you try to defend this as positive news, as our resident Nintendo defender.
The thing that people cry about nonstop of how digital games should always be cheaper than physical because they don't require shipping, packaging, stocking, manufacturing happens, but because it's Nintendo, everyone pisses and shits themselves because that's just what they do.
I like how there's no engagement with the actual criticisms that people have with it.
I mean, it's just the reaction though. Like, that's the truth. They got exactly what they wanted, which is digital games to cost less, which is what they did. And now the goalposts move.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what Nintendo's hoping. I find it unfortunate Nintendo's the first one to do this, because they had seemed the least pushy to get rid of physical games so far. And this, I think, is just a clear signaling that they are also fully on board with getting rid of physical media for gaming. And I think, the biggest downside of that is twofold. One, it's preservation. And two, there's no resale market when you get rid of physical games. And that sucks. That hurts everyone, substantially. You know, these organizations can't wait to get rid of that loophole of avoiding giving them your money, which I actually saw something, and I did not look further if this was actually true, but someone posted a Sony like terms of service screenshot the other day that like says you actually are supposed to ask their permission to resell any games. And that's really fucking funny to me if that's real. And I wouldn't be shocked if it is.
But then you've got games like again, your realization that that this is signaling how forward they are on moving into the digital only landscape. That I mean, the game keycard was the first kind of chipping away at that because of, and it's the same reasoning that you give there, Matt. It was the cost of the physical production was prohibitive to their profit margins, and then hence the $80 physicals. And I mean, again, I don't see this as a Nintendo specific problem, right? Like that this is not. I know I'm not mad at this because it's Nintendo doing it. I'm mad at it because it's just bad for
I mean, the problem
for
is
gamers
that the market
and
has
for
already
consumers.
spoken. You look year over year, and physical sales continue to drop. Digital sales continue to increase.
Andrew, I blame you. This is your fault.
Like, you can't blame the company for looking at the statistics and going, our consumers are increasingly moving away from this towards this new one. We need to cater to them. And like all I hear when I go rolling around on the internet is how people hate physicals because they take up space and they don't have space for anything because they live in a tiny shoebox apartment in Brooklyn.
They live in a little shit box.
And how physical is impossible because you have to get up and change out a cartridge or a disc if you want to play a new game, or if you travel, you have to then carry a bunch of them with you. And these are all the things that people cry about, and then digital fixes that for them, so they buy a digital, which then more and more people keep doing.
No, it's listen, I talked about my New Year's resolution to put more friction in my life, and I actually have bought like 2 physical games this year already.
Giving you the smallest round of applause.
But it is like I think digital gaming is a good benefit and does have value. But what sucks is that
PC moved away from physical gaming a decade plus ago.
Right. But and that's the thing. Like there is no, which is fine. Digital has upside. The problem is they're never. As soon as they saw the path for digital, they never wanted both. They always have wanted to push to get rid of physical because and it's all driven by what Ben was talking about, where they can then control the entire chain of purchasing.
It's more than just that. It's when I sell a physical copy to a storefront, the storefront has to take their portion off top of that. And if I sell it, and that goes into the discussion I was going to have about the gaming budgets later, is when you have to skim 30% off the top, you have to now sell more copies to break even.
No, but here's the thing: is that doesn't affect them anymore because Nintendo's platform is the only place that they can get digital games. So there's no.
I mean, you can buy digital codes off other storefronts still. You can get them from Amazon. You can get them from Walmart. You can get them from Best Buy.
Yeah, but those will be gone.
Yeah.
Once they get rid of physical, there won't be anything.
There's no reason. Yeah, there's no reason for that to exist. For exactly as the point that you're making is that why would they take the 30% storefront cut for that when they can control it all via their own platform? That's the goal. That is the end state that any digital storefront holder aims for. That's the point, is to eliminate that 30%, because that's the reality for is that you're saying for physical game sales, right? Is that Best Buy is getting some of the money from the sale that they make when I purchase.
Yeah, those are the real
versus
that's
Nintendo
the real
getting
costs
all
they're
of
talking
it.
about. Yeah, that's the real cost. They're not talking about the plastic. That's not the cost that actually is why they're saying physical games are going to cost more. The cost is that it has to be put in a storefront that they lose money because of that.
Well, the plastic still costs money and the shipping and the warehousing.
Right, but it's inconsequential in comparison.
Having an entire production line to create things still costs a decent chunk of upfront money that if you don't have to do anymore, it's already gone, and that's just pure profit.
Right. But those expenses are long gone. Like the real expense, shipping is gonna just go up. That's probably actually does have some consequence. But it's
that's fuel costs going up almost 50% in a month is going to, people are going to really start to notice that once they realize that global shipping also uses gas and oil.
Yeah. No, a month from now, shit's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's once all the stores have gotten out of their current stock and have to start restocking.
I just was surprised. I just still, with the form factor that the Switch 2 takes, the Switch had a long lifespan. Switch 2 will have a long lifespan. I don't think they're going to get rid of physical games while the Switch 2 is their primary console by any means. So there's some runtime here, but I definitely took this more as a signal as them wanting to.
I said next generation will be the last one that has native physical games for PlayStation. Xbox won't. I doubt it. I doubt they'll have a disc drive.
Yeah, I don't think Xbox will. Definitely for Sony. I agree. I wouldn't be shocked if they just get rid of it depending on how long it takes.
And then the way that the generations time out, Nintendo's next generation likely won't.
Right. Yeah.
All right, Matt, do you want to take us to the your story of the month? Stories, I guess.
I mean, they're intertied, more or less. So we got a Jason Schreier couple bombs earlier this week regarding AAA gaming budgets just ballooning and exploding to astronomical levels. 300 plus million is what he cited as being told, and sometimes higher. And it's just something that we're approaching this point of complete unsustainability for what these budgets are reaching and how many copies you have to sell just to break even at this point. It's just, that's why, I mean, what was it, the Dead Space remake where they canceled all future remakes because it only sold 2 million copies, and they were like, that's not enough to justify continuing to do this.
Which 2 million copies, I believe, is more than the original game sold.
Right, but like, yeah, what is the difference in cost from its original production to now?
I mean, I did some napkin math, and at a $300 million budget, if you kept all $70 of a game sold, that's roughly like 4.5 million copies required just to break even on just the budget. And that's not even really breaking even, because I think usually you have to go 1.5 times.
Yeah.
For marketing.
Yep.
If you lose 30% of all sales, say you're a pure third-party seller, say you're Capcom, it's 6 million copies, and that's just to hit the 300 million mark.
So it's like Monster Hunter is going to be their only profitable. I guess Resident Evil too.
Resident Evil sold like 5 million copies in its first month.
So Monster Hunter and RE keeping them alive for sure.
This is bleak. This is so bleak. Like, it just
my one surprise was like, I thought we knew this already. I'd seen this number before. Like that Spider-Man 2 cost $300 million.
Yeah, but
which is insane for a 6-star game.
And that reused the assets of the first one too.
Yeah. Like there's no reason that game should have cost that much money to make.
We've heard this number, but
there's Disney licensing involved in that as well.
I feel like you're not wrong, but I feel like it's been the higher range of things. Like this is signifying a big budget, whereas this seems to be implying more of like,
this is the baseline.
The base,
pretty much all AAA budgeting now.
Like, again, GTA 6 $1 billion game. They're fine. They're gonna recoup that, presume. But this to me seems like almost
it's going to be interesting to see how many additional PlayStations get sold at a boosted cost now once GTA 6 comes out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fairly certain you'll get essentially you may get a bit of a discount from this new price if you were to get a bundle, right?
Yeah.
You get the game, you're going to get the game and a console that like separately, if buying the two separately would be more expensive, and you may save a little money from this raised price. This could be a sneaky way to even boost those sales, and be like, oh, look at that, you're getting a deal by getting the most anticipated game of all time with our top of the line console, particularly if they bundle it with the Pro for what appears off of this price to be a slight discount. Yeah, they'll sell a shit ton. Because people are fucking stupid.
It'll only be the digital version, though.
Oh, of course. No, absolutely. No, that's with the digital code.
That is essentially how all bundles work now.
Yeah. That's not going to come with the disc.
It's 300 million. I just can't. This just means less games. This means more studio closures.
It's meant that for a while, because part of the reason the budgets are ballooning is because it's taking so much longer.
Because They're chasing Jensen Huang and his hyper realistic bullshit.
Well, also because it takes so much longer, you release less games, so your game needs to be more successful to justify itself.
Again,
and then if it doesn't, then you either need to wait another 6 years to release a game, or you get closed.
Like I said before, it's an Ouroboros. It's the snake eating its tail. That these are all cyclical things that are reinforcing one another and making it all unsustainable. That's the definition of like a bubble, right?
Yep.
That all this shit needs to come crashing down before we get some type of realignment.
Well, I mean, that was the second Jason Schreier thing, was that the industry is looking horrible right now.
Well, and this extends, I think it's more acute in gaming because gaming has this tech aspect where tech is having those issues. But at the same time, media entertainment as a whole has these issues at the same time. So it's like a double conflation of these problems when it comes to gaming, because it gets hit with both the tech side of it and the just general kind of race to the bottom that the entire media landscape is going through.
The other issue being that currently in gaming, a majority of the things that make a bunch of money are games that people still only play and only play that one game. Fortnite's finally seeming to drop down that ladder a little bit.
Just wait till Peter Griffin comes back, okay?
But
Matt, I have the article here I have that Jason Schreier article about it sucks to work in the video game industry right now, like, the big layoffs at Epic and the Battlefield portfolio of studios, but I can't actually access the article, so I'm not even going to bother putting it on screen. Can you walk us through what the article was saying?
It more or less was just talking with developers, and they were discussing how this reminds them a lot of 2008, where they have a lot of people in the industry who just can't get interviews anymore. No one's hiring, no one's taking people in, like, you either need to start your own studio and have funding to be able to do it, or you just need to leave the industry.
Go work in finance. Go do software engineering for a finance firm.
No, there was one of them in particular referenced the fact that he has a friend who was laid off 2 years ago who's had one interview in 2 years. It's not gonna improve, and that's what I was talking about earlier, where you either get crunched and keep your job, or you pack up your bags and you enter a market that is currently not hiring.
No, there's the third option that you just said before, is you go into another industry, or you side.
Well, that's the people who don't want to leave are the problem there. We're
seeing this intense talent drain, right? That we're soon going to have junior developers can't get jobs. They can't get jobs, so they leave somewhere else. So we're also not going to get any more, leads. There's going to be no new, leading devs, because there's no longer those pipelines to create new leaders and new higher end devs, because the juniors.
There was an article yesterday
priced out
as well that was talking about why you don't see. It was specifically about Japanese development. Why you don't see more Kojimas or Suda 5-1s anymore is because of the way that game development has worked and moved its way towards corporatification, where there's just no room to have someone who works like that as an auteur.
I'm less familiar with Suda 5-1's own personal trajectory, right? But it is interesting in the Japanese work culture that they had allowed, that it did have the capacity to create kind of auteurs and, in a sense, the creation of household names within a corporate structure. Because obviously before the fallout with Kojima and Konami, that his rise was in a company. Fucking Shigeru Miyamoto is still works at Nintendo. If someone has a question on a new Mario game, right? Yes, he's much more hands-off and is basically focused on theme parks and movies these days, but they could theoretically go talk to Shigeru Miyamoto. They could go talk to the man himself. And so that institutional knowledge still exists. in these Japanese companies, that there's still an ability to create talent. Yeah, there's going to be less instances of them breaking off into their own studios like Kojima does now, because that's just the industry. Yeah, the Japan industry is a kind of whole nother beast.
I mean,
there's also, it's because I've a video game lawyer that's on a podcast I listened to described it, that it's a big part of that though is because there are better labor protections in Japan. Is that there basically is no like at will employment type of thing. You can't fire somebody without cause.
They don't fire you. They just take away all your responsibilities and sit you in a room with nothing to do until you.
Please, my dream.
See, for real. Let's fucking.
You see, it sounds fun initially, but you do that 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Can I bring my Steam Deck? Can I bring my Steam Deck?
And then there's also the corporate shame aspect of it, where people walk by and be like, "That's the bad boy."
It's a completely different culture over there around work. So yeah, that's appealing to the Western mind, right? It's like, yes, that please pay me to do nothing.
That's a majority of project managers that I deal with. I've always stated that an indication of how little you have to do is how quickly you respond to all company emails. So if like an all company email goes out, be like, "Congratulations to Jared and his wife on having a kid." If you're in the replies within 5 minutes, you do jack shit for the company and you are useless. You're simply replying to the email so that people can continue to see your name and realize that you're here and you're theoretically doing something.
We love email jobs. We love it. They serve.
It's interesting though, Ben, because like what you're talking to with this talent and lack of development, I think is a really interesting oversight of a lot of the broader AI hype train, where you have these execs out there being like, "Oh, we're building AI. It's going to replace all junior level associates at law firms." Okay, what happens in 10 years when those junior, associates are supposed to become senior associates and like start to move towards leading the firm?
Well, yeah, the AI's been running for 10 years now, so you can promote the AI.
But here's also the thing. We've also extended the retirement age, so we kick that can for 10 years further down the road. So the people that should have been retiring,
even if you don't extend
now can't afford to retire,
age,
so they're still working. So we still got talent. What are you talking about?
Even if you don't extend the retirement
they can't remember what they had for lunch.
There's plenty of people who just refuse to retire.
Oh yeah.
Like, I work with a couple who, one of them, she's 72, and she could have retired 10 years ago. And it's not like, oh, she doesn't have the money. She's worked at the company for 30 years, and her ESOP is enormous, because our ESOP has traditionally grown, 15, 20, 25, 40% year over year. And if you've been there for almost 40 years, that's an enormous balloon to be able to walk away with. But she just continues to work because she likes to work, and that's what she does. And she shows up every day and slowly slipping into dementia, and I get to watch it day over day.
Because we've eliminated community and like a purpose for living, and have completely removed what makes us human in service. She was
explaining to me
capital.
that she hasn't eaten a vegetable in 30 years because her parents used to force her to eat vegetables, and it traumatized her. And I just stared at her, and it was like, all children were forced to eat vegetables. What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, the boomer mind is
it's
unique.
Really something that I'd love to comprehend at some point, but still remains a mystery.
Her 50-year-old son rebelled against her and is now a vegan.
We love how generational trauma repeats, but then reflects itself. Right?
Really does.
So she instead, forced him down a carnivore diet, so now he's traumatized by that. I've never had a green vegetable my entire life. I am vitamin deficient. I haven't had a normal shit in 26 years. Fiber, never heard of her.
Well, she was asking me because my lunch, I brought in like pork loin, quinoa, and some veggies. And she was like, "What's that weird rice?" I was like, "It's quinoa." She was like, "I've never heard of that before." I was like, "It's good for you. It's high in fiber and protein." I was like, "You should probably try it. You never go to the bathroom while you're here."
It's retaining all her essence. Doesn't want anybody to steal it. All right, folks. I think that's it for a bleak month of March in most respects. Although some good games came out. Let's. I've been playing Monster Hunters. I'll say I've been playing Monster Hunter Stories 3, and right now it's my game of the year. It's incredible. It's so good. It's so good.
From your hated gaming leak subreddit, seems like we'll have some good news coming out in April for some Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, although the leak about I'm happy for people who really want the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Switch 2 update, but it doesn't help me. You know, I'm happy for them. But I want 3.
Talking about
Give
a new
me
Star
3.
Fox game getting announced next month.
Yeah, right.
And an Ocarina of Time remake, and
that's cool. I'll definitely jump into that. We're going to continue gaming through the madness that exists here. We'll be back next week with Matt leading his episode on
speaking
Returnal.
of madness,
We'll be delving into our own personal hellscape in more ways than one as we anticipate the release of Saros, which started getting some hands-on stuff. Although I said in the chat yesterday, the preview stuff that I saw for it has made me be like, okay, maybe I was right to not want to play that either. You know, my frustrations with Returnal not aside, I had been a little bit interested in jumping into Saros, but I don't know. It just looks like
tune in 2 weeks when he changes his opinion for the 8th time.
I'm not like so photosensitive that bothers me, but like visual diarrhea, let's say. It's just too much. It's just too much. Overstimulation. Give me my turn-based JRPG, please. All right, folks. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.